Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. I am your host, as always, Chad Porto. Joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, how are ya?
Well, good. The holiday season is upon us, and TNA is dropping gifts
Yep, and
early.
this is gonna be our last show of the year. Now, if you're up for it, we can do one on Monday, January 1st, 2024. If you're down for it. Otherwise, we can take 2 weeks off. But when we do come back, we will be coming back with the 2023 year-end awards. We will get that all set up and what have you. So keep an eye out for that. I think this year we may just do a selection committee for the winners
Nice,
instead of doing a fan vote.
nice. That was I was thinking about the end of the year thing. I was like, it seems like just yesterday when I was out in the yard bagging leaves, and you hit me on the cell phone and tell me for the first time about the LOE uh, year-end marathon.
Oh yeah. Our New Year's Eve marathons. Those aren't going for good. We just need a replenishment of rosters, so to speak, to be able to pull that off again. Swisher's off doing his thing. Andrew's doing his thing. Zach's got a little Duncan Reno out there. So if we can find two more people, we can get back to doing New Year's Eve marathons, my friend. We can really get into it. So yeah, this year though we're gonna head off and do a normal year end thing and take a week off or maybe 2 weeks off. We'll see. We'll make an announcement about January 1st one way or another. I think the WB have a show that day, right? January
Yeah,
1,
yeah. Is it day one? They're calling it.
day 1. Yeah,
Let's say when. Yeah, they got to pay. Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see them do a major show. Are they just gonna rebrand Raw for the night?
I say, what is that? That's on Monday. Yeah, that's on a Monday. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm guessing they're doing it like how Impact does their turn some of their pay-per-views into special Impact events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then do it. I guess do it like that. It's so yeah.
So with that being said, let's get into some TNA news. Scott Demore went on Busted Open Radio on Monday to talk about a big surprise coming on January 13th, Hard to Kill 2024. Quote, "We're going to have some surprises for you. We are right there at the goal line of finalizing one of the biggest signings in TNA. I think it's something that is really going to shake things up here on January 13th. Two names come to mind right off the bat when we're talking about big names. Kazuchika Okada, the star of stars in New Japan. Apparently, a lot of people out in Japan believe that the bloom is off the rose, so to speak, and that both sides want to move on from one another. That's just speculation. I have no idea why. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Kushida situation should Okada come in, but we'll talk about Kushida here in a second. But the other big name, obviously, is Mercedes Monet, who up until today was kind of not locked in, but assumed in to be going to AEW now that her New Japan dates are all but done. But then the news broke today that apparently she isn't she isn't going to be joining the company at least right now. And considering her closeness with Trinity Fatu, who is in TNA at the moment, it makes sense that Mercedes would come into TNA. It'd be a huge get. It wouldn't be a massive needle mover. I don't think. I don't think you're gonna see like Kenny Omega level like jumps in views. But I do think you will see a noticeable tick up in ticket sales. So I think that's a good thing. As
Yeah,
long as they feel they can afford her financially. Now,
yeah.
yeah, go on.
You cut out in that back half. You said not to interrupt you, but you had cut out. You said she decided not to come to the
Yeah,
company.
I don't know if it was her decision or AEW's decision, but they have decided to hold all of the planned storylines for her
Mm,
momentarily. So it seems to me that they have opted for one reason or another. Maybe she decided not to join. Maybe they decided not to sign her. I don't know. But that was
Yeah.
the rumor that broke on the wrestling news sites, was that any ideas for her creatively are done for now.
Gotcha.
That being said, I don't think it's going to be Okada or Monet. I think the CM Punk and Will Ospreay of it all, because they both got offered 7-figure deals, and to my understanding, they both got 7-figure deals. It wasn't like Punk got a 7-figure deal when he said no. Ospreay got this. I believe they were offered deals simultaneously. So I do believe there's going to be some money being spent here, and I don't think Okada or Monet is going to be getting it. I think the big name, if we're talking about like conventional big names, I think Dolph Ziggler is more than likely who it is.
Mm.
I think he's seen what's going on with AEW. His brother hasn't been used that well. I think there's space in TNA for both Briley Pierce and Dolph Ziggler, the Nemeth boys. And I could very easily see them going in that direction. Now, I don't know if this is a quote-unquote big name in the way that D'Amore was kind of hinting at it. But the name I would like to see, and one who keeps hinting at it on Twitter like a dick, and I adore this man, like, sincerely, he's one of my favorites. But, like, he's really going ham on this, is Alexander Hammerstone. This dude wrestles like a luchador. Crisp, clean, snaps, moves, looks like Brian Cage, but has the charisma, not the racism, but the charisma of Hulk Hogan.
Jesus Christ. What the hell is he talking about?
I needed to emphasize the comparison, all right? It's not as bad as you think.
So Hulk Hogan's ass, what are you going to do, brother? And Hammerstone be like, no, seriously, brother, what are you going to do?
Right? Like, you're a broken shell of a man with a skullet. Calm down. I think it is Hammerstone. Maybe not as the big surprise, but I do believe Hammerstone's coming into TNA at Hard to Kill. And I would be over the moon about it, because while I don't know, like, 1-to-1, his run in MLW makes him a worthy world title contender right now, right? I think 1-to-1, though, he's the kind of guy that you can give 6 months or 8 months or 12 months to chase the belt, especially if you want to do something with Alexander and Hammerstone. I think that would be fantastic. I would like to see that happen. I'd like to see that go full tilt, and I'd love to see what he could do, face or heel, in TNA, because I think he's got endless potential. And I think he's looking at maybe the best year of his career should he decide to, as the kids say, cross the line.
Yeah, I mean, this all stuff sounds good. It'd be great if, this surprise could turn into multiples, but I don't think, I think the more, very specific when he said they signing, and if, they doling out a ton of cash, it's not like you can necessarily spread that out to a bunch of people on a certain level, because they not as big as AEW or WWE. So I'm looking forward to it. Question: if it was Banks, what percentage of likelihood do you think that locks down Trinity for longer in the company?
I think significantly. So WWE's new management seems to have really struck well. Like, I struck a nice chord with a lot of the boys. So I it's one of those things where if you're worried about being booked properly, the last few months, should sway some people. AEW's a fucking... And listen, I'm not a WWE fan. Like, I don't watch the product. I don't engage in the product. I think Roman Reigns is quite boring, and I think Seth Rollins is even worse. I think Cody Rhodes is just a schmuck with a terrible tattoo who likes to torture his dog with loud noises. I'm a pretty CM Punk big fan there. I like the Creed brothers. I like Booby Lashley, the Blurby himself. Like, they have some guys I like, some guys I pay attention to, but mostly, night to night, I don't really pay attention to WWE. And I don't really pay attention to AEW, even though they have guys that I also like as well, guys and gals. one of which Thunder Rosa just returned. That being said, if you're looking at big money deals and wondering if you're going to be booked right now I would say the best bet is WWE. So looking at that, unless Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks has some real heavy issues with Triple H, I wouldn't be surprised if she went back to the company. But if she's looking to kind of carve her, because like if you know you have money and you know you're going to get paid money, and you know even if you can get paid more elsewhere, but you can get paid enough in TNA, and you have the opportunity to kind of amplify a promotion and kind of be one of the names that helps bring the promotion back, if you have that dog in you, I could honestly see Sasha Banks being like, I could probably get $2 million from WWE. I may only get $500K from TNA, but I could also be one of the biggest reasons TNA helps rebounds in 2024. That's a nice notch on your legacy. And that's kind of what they're going to be selling. Like, we can pay you more than other promotions. Maybe not more than, AEW or WB, but more than maybe New Japan. Maybe more than MLW. Definitely more than MLW. Definitely more than NWA.
She could easily, quickly main event with a girl.
Yeah. You can do a lot with them. You can, bring the tag team titles to a new level. You can have her... And I wouldn't go straight, because, I think Jordynne Grace is winning this belt sooner rather than later. I think you don't re-sign Jordynne Grace, who's like, I'm going to test free agency. Oh, I'm coming back. And then be like, oh, no, we're not going to make you the focal point of the division.
Yeah.
No, she's going to be. But I think Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné and Trinity holding the TNA Knockout Tag Team titles, I think, is a great way to go. And it's one that I would love to see happen.
Absolutely.
So there's potential there. As far as the big name goes, I do think it's only going to be the quote-unquote one, but I don't think it's going to be limited to just one surprise. Because I do think they're going to have a few names debuting at Hard to Kill. Because the card isn't really built. And there's a reason for that. Scott D'Amore is a great booker. They're not going to, create a pay-per-view card that's lacking in any way. Just to kind of piss off a big opportunity. Like they're bolstering the card with some big matches, and I think they're gonna keep some flexibility for the names they intend to bring in, because I could see this very much going, albeit better, but similarly to 2010 when Hogan and company came in on January 4th or. Yeah, I think that's right. January 4th. Damn, did they really join on the Dome show? Oh. But when Hogan and company popped up, and then the next night or that Sunday for Genesis, the Mr. Anderson debuts, I could see that kind of being the situation here. I could see a bunch of names popping up.
Yeah. Real quick, because I know your brain goes in a lot of different directions, particularly when it comes to switching things up real quick. One hard monkey wrench that could potentially be in that Sasha Banks either or ship she jumps to category. When it comes to WWE, major spot to be filled. Looking at this thing, Charlotte down 9 months. This is your area of expertise, talking about how this works. Torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
That's probably the most common of tears, because what ends up happening is the ACL completely tears usually. Because it's the one that controls most of the torque from left to right and stability. So it's the one that usually has the most traction and pressure put onto it. And then depending on how the ligament tears and how the leg buckles when it happens, the MCL will either tear slightly, partially, needing to either be reattached or given time to heal on its own, depending on how significant it is. And the meniscus is usually a byproduct of the ACL tearing, because what ends up happening is like your knee kind of... You ever see a car driving down the street and one of the... I don't know what it's called, axle maybe, just drops out and it starts riding on the wheel? That's essentially what happens to the knee. The knee is actually separated a little bit. There's space in between. And when the ACL buckles, what ends up happening sometimes is that the knee rubs against itself, which is also how you get arthritis. And then that rubbing creates the tear in the meniscus.
Gotcha.
So, 9 months, yeah, that's about right for that kind of injury. That's what I was given, absolutely. And mine was pretty significant. She may come back sooner, though, because it really all depends on how your body responds and how you do your PT, your physical therapy, and how well the surgery goes. Like, she may, and like, God forbid, like, I'm not a Charlotte Flair fan at all. I find her distasteful. But I don't want anything to happen to her. I just don't want to see her on my television. But like, God forbid something happens and like she gets an infection or something, like that'll prolong her recovery. Um, I think 9 months is the longest they expect her to be out, but she could, depending on how hard she works, could be back within 6. I think SummerSlam isn't out of the question for her to come back by. But that being said, Sasha Banks absolutely. You could bring her in and slot her into the WWE women's scene, but I think right now she's very much enjoying this. I don't want to call it sabbatical, but this time away. I think she enjoys the ability to kind of do her own thing when she decides to do it. So
Yeah,
I think TNA is a possibility for her.
Yeah, and also because it's not like she hasn't been on that merry-go-round before for a long time and gotten a lot out of it, and been to the proverbial mountaintop with the mania of it all. But having this much time off and being able to do her own thing, you kind of almost want to keep a lot of that. So I mean, you we give more towards doing that in TNA because WWE, for as great as I guess it can be, and certainly now with the Wicked Witch of the West out of the picture, if you will, you kind of write your own ship. WWE is kind of all encompassing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times. So TNA, you come in, you do the shows, and you kind of just other than that, unless you're doing other wrestling shows, you kind of do your own thing. And I doubt money's going to be a problem. So
I would hope that she's stable financially,
yeah,
but it's hard to say. I think most likely it's going to be Ziggler, but I'm hoping for Hammerstone. But like, it could be someone I'm not even thinking about. Someone who's been out of the game for a few years. Who that is, I have no idea. Like I said, like I'm not thinking about that.
yeah,
It could be, someone we're not even thinking about. It could be like, I don't want to say Conor McGregor because I think that would be lunacy. But it could be someone like that with the way he's talking. He calls it one of the biggest signings in TNA. Now he stops so far from saying biggest signings in TNA history. And there's always the possibility that someone like Jay Lethal, maybe not Jay Lethal specifically, but he's on the forefront of the mind, maybe has expired contract, and we don't know about it. And D'Amore swooped in to sign him. Could be a lot of things.
yeah.
What I
You
will
look,
say is I think a Joe Hendry Jake something tag team needs to happen.
mm,
I think the two of them would do very well. I think it would give them something to do. And I think two big beefy boys doing beefy boy things is exactly what TNA needs, especially with um, the almost cruel savagery of something and the docile tones of one Joe Hendry.
I just look forward to those music videos because something's not going to be selling it.
No, no. And something not selling would be fantastic. Say his name is. He appears. I believe in Kushida.
Yeah, that you know what that might actually might make a better fit considering Kushida has still a little limited English.
Yep.
That might actually work a little bit better. I mean, obviously we see how he worked with I was about to say Takeshita, but
Yeah. Shota. No.
yeah, so Yumi Yora. I got Yumi Yora right.
Yeah.
Uh,
You Minera. That's it.
yeah, but yeah, biggest signing because I know you talked about this all the time, and you was actually can rattle off all the signings in your head. Sting's still the biggest, right? Or is it Angle?
Well, in terms of talent, the biggest signing was Angle. In terms of impact and what it brings to the table in terms of like going forward, it definitely Sting.
Gotcha.
That'd be my thought. But Kushida's signed with TNA. He's going to be with TNA exclusively in the United States, and I think that's a great thing. mostly going forward, simply because Kushida's a great hand. He brings a lot of notoriety with him. I don't want to see him as the face of the company. I think that would be a foolish idea considering his limited English. However, I'm a big stupid fan of stables, and I would love to see a time splitters stable with Kushida, the Guns, and what's the other young gentleman's name? He's a young high flyer. We got to see a little bit of him. He's tagging with Kushida right now in Japan.
Oh yes, doggone it, off the tip of my tongue, Jet. So why did he call himself the Jet Splitter? But he would also be a great signer.
Well, he does work with TNA. And he has worked a lot with them recently, so I don't know if he has a contract with TNA, but they're certainly using him. Now, it could be a situation where he's on sabbatical with TNA, but I wouldn't.
Kevin Knight.
Kevin Knight, there it is.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great rub for Knight to be with those three gentlemen.
Yeah, man, a time split. I'm talking about that's just an instant show stealer. Time splitters versus Ace and Bay. Killer.
ABC.
Yep. ABC. That'll be killer.
A-Bay
Yeah, Kushida's great. Yeah, A-Bay say great. Yeah, but Kushida's a great sign. I think I was talking about this with James on the True Penny show. He's kinda his native in New Japan is kinda expired in that way. Like he's, not gonna be the ace of the juniors no more. They're not gonna elevate him to heavyweight. He had the tag run with Kevin Knight, but they're not gonna drop the belts to them. So, I think we've seen what he did recently in the company, so I just think this is a really cool addition. I would imagine, kind of like what we got with Shinsuke and some other foreign talents, they kind of want to be stateside, so.
I think Kushida's looking for a little bit more notoriety in the States. I think he wants a bigger slice of the financial pie, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think he knows he can work more American dates and make more money, more than likely, than just staying in Japan full time. I think he sees TNA as a great outlet because let's say he does 2 or 3 months tours, right? He can stay with somebody within TNA, maybe Sabe and Shelley, and he can do, indies with them, make the money, and then go back and do some tours with New Japan, and then vice versa. And considering TNA only films, once a month usually, or maybe once every few weeks, the ability to kind of, because like if you think about in the inverse, like when Team 3D or Kurt Angle or whoever was working with TNA, they would go off to New Japan and they would be gone for weeks at a time due to the touring schedule of New Japan. But in the inverse, if you're Kushida, you're working on all these New Japan dates, you can easily take off a week, go to the States, and then come back and not miss that much time. So I think it behooves them on both sides to keep this Kushida thing going, and I think it really serves a potential. There's a good potential possibility that Kushida wins the X Division title at Hard to Kill to help solidify this deal, because he's still working with New Japan. Like the signing is just specifically Kushida signing with TNA for the States. So he won't work with AEW, he won't work WWE, he won't work with MLW or whomever. This exclusifies him. He's now exclusive with the brand stateside. Yeah. So it cements the New Japan deal even more so, and it really sets up a whole host of possibilities. One being a similar deal with Okada.
Yeah, man. Either one of the Guns, Gresham. I think you got some unfinished business with Macklin, Alexander, Bailey. These are must-see matches. Any one-on-one, just a string of must-see matches that they're going to either put on pay-per-view or, like they usually do, give away a match of the year on Impact. So, man, they about to knock out some bangers.
It's going to be interesting. Speaking of interesting, we now know who's going to replace David Penzer as the ring announcer for TNA. It's going to be Josh Alexander's wife, Jade Chung.
Hey.
I was kind of hoping Chung would eventually get back in the ring. She was a wrestler for a while, and I think she was even part of correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am. I thought she was with WWE Development at some point, maybe DSW, Deep South, or maybe she was part of Tough Enough.
Oh man, I thought she was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was one of the aces and eights.
I mean, at this point, who wasn't? She's Canadian. Watched the WWE. She worked with Scott D'Amore's Border Championship Wrestling, managed franchise. Did work with A1, former Team Canada member in Sabu. Joined Prince Nana's The Embassy in Ring of Honor, replacing Angelina Love, which is kind of ironic. She worked with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. All right, so she never did any work with WWE, but she did do work with Ring of Honor. And I like Jade Chung. I think she's fantastic. And it doesn't hurt that she is gorgeous. There's a great photo of her on her wiki. Big smile, beautiful eyes, just the whole package. Josh is a lucky motherfucker. I hope he knows that. And I think her addition is great. But what I also love is whatever the reason for David Penzer leaving the company, it doesn't seem to be at all antagonistic. It seems very amicable. Maybe even something that they both agreed to do. Penzer has even said he's not retiring. I think he's in his 60s. I'm gonna double check. He's 57. So it's likely he continues on in some form or facet. But what seems to be something that I just saw on Twitter was that David Penzer and Jade Chung did a recent photo shoot. There it is. That's what I'm thinking of. And Penzer quite literally passed his microphone to her in the photo shoot. So this was not an unexpected thing. Penzer knew this was coming. Maybe Penzer even tagged her to replace him. Who knows? But he seems to be pretty fulfilled right now. I like David Penzer. He's been with TNA for a long time, and if I remember correctly, he was with WCW for a while as well. So he's one of those names that I quite enjoy, because he's one of those names that connects me to my childhood. So I would hope that at some point he comes back to the company in some form or facet.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that Jade is getting in on action. It's gonna be cool to see her again. Also, last time we seen her, she was helping her husband dispose of one Bully Ray, which I would never complain about, in a great little angle. I'm always down for them adding women in quality positions to elevate the brand in that regard. And yeah, real quick note, because I remember when that new regime first came in, they had this person doing a million jobs. What exactly does Matthews do now? Is it just behind the scenes?
Yeah, he's doing stuff behind the scenes. I think he's working with the announcing crew. I think he's maybe even a director for the company. Let's see, TNA employees. We'll see what Josh is officially listed as. Broadcast producers. He's the senior producer and senior director of digital media, according to Wikipedia.
Gosh, that sounds like something Bull Rash was back in the day.
In fact, I think that's the job he has.
Interesting.
That being said, they still list Christy Hemme as a producer, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah, just thinking about that, because I'm like, this was back in the day when Scott D'Amore and them first came in. This would have been just something else they would have had Josh to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank God we don't need to worry about that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of other things we don't need to worry about, we heard rumors that a big name was going to be coming to Hard to Kill, a big international talent, with a release of a shirt on TNA's website. It made us think that it was going to be Kenta. You release a brand new shirt on your website for Kenta, it makes us think Kenta's coming in. He's not, that we know of. He might be, but we're not sure. But we do know that the big international star who's going to be coming to Hard to Kill is going to be El Hijo de Vikingo, and he's going to be in a triple threat match with Kushida and Chris Sabin, and hot damn, that's nice. That's real nice.
Anybody listening, you ain't never seen Vikingo. When you turn on the TV, don't blink. Got that.
He's one of those names, like his presentation makes you think he's taller than he is. And then you realize he comes up to like the nipples on Kenny Omega and you're like, oh, he tiny.
Oh, they got them nipples, the cleaner nipples.
So, it's great to see. I love Vikingo. He's super talented. And he has a great look, great name. He's the son of the Viking. I'm excited.
All I can think about is just, I'm like, damn, I wonder what he would have did in Lucha Underground.
Oh, he probably killed himself. Angelico leapt from a office roof, into a ring maybe 15 feet. Ray Phoenix got powerbombed through a ceiling, or a chokeslam through a ceiling. Puma tried to cut promos. It was a dangerous promotion. Dangerous promotion. And I think Vikingo would have been incentivized, or even maybe just deliriously thought to himself, yeah, I can do that. No, Vikingo, you can't. No.
I feel like Vikingo would have been hired by somebody to go after Puma or something, because it's just as crazy. Like because I remember, I gotta send you that video. Somebody did like an ultimate compilation of some of the greatest lucha moments in Lucha Underground. And I was thinking, I'm like, I remember back the day when it first started, that first season when Big Rick just had smoke for anybody that paid him.
Yeah.
Big Rick was the ultimate hit man. Oh man.
I'm glad that we're past the days of asking, hey, do you want to see, what was his name in WWE? Ezekiel Jackson?
Oh, yes, and I was talking about, like, he's the last ECW champion, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So, I'm good with never seeing him again.
But Vikingo, on the other hand, please give us him in the new year. Yeah.
More Vikingo, please. Let's see what else we got. So the other big matches, we have the triple threat with Kushida, Sabin, and Vikingo for the X Division title. That, I think, is going to be the best X Division match we've seen in maybe 15 years.
Oh, wow. That's a lot to live up to, man.
Kushida, so, like, here's the thing. Like, Sabin still has some high-flyingness, but what I like to describe these three gentlemen in this way. I think Sabin is phonetically precise. Like, he can still do some high-flying stuff, but what he does is he's accurate, he's crisp, and he's good at what he knows. Kushida is kind of like an aerial mat dude. Like, he doesn't do a lot of big stuff, but he does do a little flippy doodads, but it's all centered around really pristine mat work. Sabin pushes the pace, Kushida slows it down, but then Vikingo destroys the pace because he's inhuman. I think this matchup is going to be as close to something like Christopher Daniels, who's mat-based, Styles, who's a high flyer, and Joe, who's a brawler, would ever be able to do. I think this is going to be I think we're going to call this the hard-to-kill triple threat. I really do. I think they're going to blow the roof off the place, and I wouldn't be surprised if they main evented.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about Vikingo, made me think back to the Mummy. Like, Vikingo's dropping the line of O'Connell, relax. Like, what about the map? Relax. I'm the map. It's all up here.
It's all up here. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the situation. They are the map. We also found out today that Power Town will be joining up with TNA Wrestling to produce a new line of action figures. Obviously, if you remember, there was an issue. They had announced last year, maybe even 2022, that they would be launching action figures for 2023, but the manufacturer, or maybe it was just the distributor, it says produce, so maybe it was the manufacturer, had issues, and TNA severed ties with them, not wanting to deal with whatever's going on there. So this is the new manufacturer after the old manufacturer fell off. We have no idea who the first line of figures are going to be, although I do remember Jordan Grace, Moose, Deanna Parazzo, and somebody else being the I think maybe Eddie Edwards being the rumored four for the first line with the previously announced toy dealership. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went in a different direction. But yeah, let's see. Is there any announcement within the press release? The figures have 30 points of articulation. Subsidiary of sports. So no announcement yet. Who's going to be joining up? One of the names that we think could pop up in TNA eventually, assuming he's not happy with the situation in AEW, is Jay Lethal. Jay had a very good run in TNA. I think his run in TNA was the best of his career. I do think he had one singular better storyline outside of TNA, and that was his feud with Jay Briscoe. Because he had some really great classic promos up to that, but I really think Ring of Honor dropped the ball with him, and AEW has not used him to his potential at all. I think Jay Lethal is somebody you can quite literally build a promotion around, because I think he has untapped talents as a speaker. And I think if you're going to build a promotion, you need someone who can cut promos, and Jay Lethal can sure as shit cut promos. I don't remember many great 5-star Jay Lethal matches, but I sure as hell remember a lot of great Jay Lethal segments. And if he ends up leaving AEW, I think TNA would be wise to scoop up their former X Division champion and bring the former Black Machismo home. When asked by High Spots about TNA, he was it nearly every time so it was worse on there. So bringing up the six-sided ring, High Spots asked him about it, and he said, "I was happy that they did that. You have no idea. I was happy. The next thing that needs to happen though is the ring. The six-sided ring made them. It's for the fans. It's for them. I didn't mind it. It was a bit funky to get used to, but apparently he wants to see the six-sided return. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. I think it's great for the image. I think it helps bring fans in. And while yes, I do agree with wrestler safety and you want to minimize the pain on a body." But you can only minimize the pain on the body so much. I don't think a six-sided ring is going to kill you. But if you can make a six-sided ring, but also make it safer, do that too. But Marcus, would you like to see one, Jay Lethal back in TNA, and two, would you like to see the six-sided ring back in TNA?
Absolutely, Jay Lethal, man. He got an indelible mark on in the history of that company. I know some people say just for that promo with Flair alone, and that's a high one that's up there. But he did a lot of other great stuff in there. Obviously, it's, this overall tribute and his persona is just Black Machismo, the Macho Man. But yeah, I mean, on the scene's right. I actually thought he might have came in when Impact was getting big brothered by AEW that time. Because, we got the Hardys came back in. Obviously, we got Christian back. And a few other names came back in. And it was really cool to see that return. I thought he would have passed through. But getting him back on a more permanent basis, man, actually fit. Like you said, even with him being paired with Jarrett, it's not going nowhere. And oftentimes, Jarrett's, coming out looking, on top anyway, just because he's, a literal veteran and got different showman skills, but Lethal, somebody that kind of you can let run in the right situation, and it's just too much going on around him right now in AEW. So yeah, definitely want to see him back in terms of six sides. Look, if they don't want to bring it back permanently, at least do some special occasions, right? Like it wouldn't hurt. It'll be great. Fans will love it, and I almost feel like it's one of the just missing pieces, I feel like that's probably the best option you could bring back if you're not gonna go back to any of those classic TNA matches that were wonky but effective when they were executed properly, like the King of the Mountain, Steel Asylum. We talked about Elevation X on one of the last shows. If you don't want to bring any of that stuff back, at least give them a six sides air now and again.
I wouldn't mind it. I would love to see not only the six-sided ring come back, but I would also very much love to see Jay Lethal get used to his fullest potentials. Truly.
Yeah.
But we'll see what ends up happening going forward. Apparently, there was a Wolverine announcement for a week Insomniac game.
Yeah, I think they may have a game coming out. They, getting then it got real expired. It inspired off them Spider-Man games, which have been excellent. So yeah.
Well, I think people are, if it's real, and who knows if it is. If it's real, it's clearly far away from being in production.
Yeah.
I think some people need to chill out if it is. But we'll see. That being said, let's move on a little bit more. Kylan King got hurt. I'm not sure what happened. She hurt her knee, while performing in Florida independent promotion Mayhem on the Mills at their Glow event in Sanford, Florida. King was defending her Mayhem on the Mills championship against Eli Knight, who was draped over the top ropes. King came off the middle rope with an attempted kick and looked to have landed awkwardly in the match, which was went about 7 minutes, ended shortly thereafter. She needed help to be brought to the back after the bout and was minding her knee as she exited. I think Kylan King will be great in TNA if they put her with Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich as a trio. I think that's the best way to go for her to build her up. If she is hurt, who knows when we'll see her next? But I'm hoping this doesn't turn into a what was her name? Moose. I think her name was Moose. Mary Knuckles, I think was her name. She came in probably 2007, 2008, maybe 2009, and she broke her leg right when she was going to get a contract, and they just opted not to sign her after that. So I hope this doesn't go the same way with Kylan. I think she can be a great addition, but not a great addition, but a great hand in the company. I think she offers more to the brand than someone like Giselle Shaw, but I think Giselle Shaw is more of a character than she is a wrestler. And I think you need to worry about... Because you can put Giselle with anyone. Have her be the voice. Have her be the tag team partner who talks. I don't think Giselle works as a single star. I think Kylan can. And I hope she gets the opportunity to kind of showcase that. And lastly, Marcus, TNA is doing their 30 days of TNA on their YouTube channel. They've counted down a handful of them for right now. They're on 26, so they have 25 more to go. 26 was when Jay Lethal in the summer of 2008 proposed to SoCal Val as they were recreating the Macho Man Miss Elizabeth storyline, only with Sanjay Dutt being the jealous heel.
He went through hell with that dude. That dude
Yeah,
was so powerful.
Yeah, I did. Number 27 was the debut of Taz in TNA. That's a moment we all like to forget. Number 28 is the formation of Beer Money. Love that. Number 29 was Kurt Angle versus Mr. Anderson in 4 Sides of Steel at Lockdown 2010.
One of your favorites, personally.
Yeah, that's a great match. And number 30 is the formation of Immortal.
Oh dear God! not ice cold Matt Hardy, everybody.
The what was it? The Pro Wrestling Devil Jeff Hardy. No, the Antichrist of Pro Wrestling. That's what it was.
You walk out there. Is that Matt Hardy with dreads? What the blue?
Yeah,
oh dear
God! Great. That wasn't even a little great. Now the thing is there was potential there. But they picked the wrong guy at the start. Jeff Hardy turning heel was stupid. It should have been Kurt Angle from the beginning. Having Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett and Hulk Hogan together would have been fantastic. The shoehorning of Abyss into it, though, just never felt right. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, Biss got hold on doing a lot of those things because he always had to be the dude that preluded the new group. They're coming. They're here. They're preparing. I'm like, why is Abyss got to be the dude that do all these like BS like pre-announcements?
Yeah, sticking him with Hulk's music, and like Hulk's music was great. I love
Yeah,
what is it?
that guitar. Yeah, yeah.
It's not Real American. Was it American Man? I love that song. Works works
Yeah,
great. I think if you bring Hammerstone in, you call Jimmy Hart up, and you're like, hey, let me get American Made. But with Abyss, it was bad. Right, it was bad, and everything to do with Immortal was just bad because it always felt like they were half a step off. Like bringing in Bully Ray and Scott Steiner, great ideas. Bringing in Gunner, why? Making Hogan a heel, great. Trying to force the Fortune faction into Immortal, stupid. So like there were opportunities to do things differently, and they didn't. And when you think about it long term, the failure of Immortal, and it was a failure, really hindered TNA during the Hogan era. It wasn't the worst thing Hogan did, but it wasn't
yeah.
a good
I
one.
mean, just by sheer decisions he made behind the scenes, he was a heel. But I mean, yeah, I don't think they did what all they could have did with Fortune either.
No, they sure should didn't. But that's life. Like they've done around and fucked up a few too many times. That's why I'm very appreciative of Scott D'Amore because he's stabilized the booking. It mostly makes sense. I very rarely go, "This is stupid. I'm gonna stop watching."
Yeah.
So things are better. But yeah, Immortal is bad. That being said, Marcus, is there anything else you want to touch on before we 22 skidoo?
No, that pretty much clears our plate on and everything we usually hone in on talking about. So,
All
if
right.
there's anything through the wire,
Not that I've seen. We can double check one last time.
anything big coming up for MLW, I know you brought that up earlier.
Not at the top of my head. Sammy Callahan will be returning to the promotion for the next set of tapings.
Okay.
Hopefully, Callahan's coming in a few pounds lighter. Because if he wants to get back in the zeitgeist, so to speak, of pro wrestling, he's going to need to get himself back into shape. I thought for sure he'd be in AEW by now. So I'm a little surprised.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, day one. Nope, no news. So with that being said, we're gonna clock out, head home. Be sure to check out Marcus on Twitter at ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
That's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, which he previously mentioned. And you can find it on Twitter at TruePennyShow. That's True Penny Show on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, CHED, and on the Instagram at Chad Photo at CHADPHOTOHUT, or no, it's CHADSPHOTOHUT, Chad's Photo. And we'll be back after the new year, probably the 1st of January. But if that changes, we will make an announcement. But we'll be back the 1st of January for another new edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. We will have our year-end awards for that episode ready to go. So we're going to work on that over the next 2 weeks. But yeah, with that being said, we're done. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember, as always, to watch more wrestling. And Marcus, take us home.
Good night.